It's cold and dark. A bitter, unrelenting snow surrounds you. It's 3 a.m. and you've been walking through downtown Boston for over an hour. You went to MIT and you launched a successful startup, but that's over now. And all you can ask yourself is, how did I end up here? You don't know. And you can't sleep. So you walk that frigid 2.5 miles in the middle of the night. This was my life in November 2012. I'd spent 2 years in the trenches building my first real startup, finally tasted success, only to watch it drift away. I had learned what it meant to rise, and now I was learning what it means to fall. Abraham Lincoln said that we are greedy to publish the success of our efforts, but shy as to publishing our failures, and that we are ruined by this one-sided practice of concealment of blunders and failures. For me, that ends today. This is a talk about falling. One night in 1999, my family and I were about to drive back home from dinner. I was busy playing one of the greatest games of all time, Pokemon Red. It's a great game. I caught a new Pokemon. I was so excited. I ran to tell my mom, but I didn't quite make it. See, I don't remember seeing the curb in the parking lot that night, but I distinctly recall the taste of cement when my face hit the ground. Falling is painful. My mom picked me up and saw that one of my 2 front teeth had been pushed down and was now the better part of 2 millimeters south of where it should be. Not good. We rushed to the emergency room. They told us to call the dentist, and he said, "I can see you in the morning, but by then it'll be too late. If you want to fix this, you're going to have to push it back up yourself." I was 10, but these were permanent teeth. And if you feel queasy right now, imagine how I felt. I grabbed my mom's hand and squeezed as hard as I could, crying, pushing it 1, 2 millimeters back into place. And it worked. See? Sometimes falling isn't a choice, but getting back up is. Investors in startups often say that one of the biggest risks in early stage companies is the team. I couldn't agree more. Let's go back to 2012. It was a bright day in August, and I went for a walk with my co-founder, as I often did. But this time, something wasn't quite right. The summer had been a roller coaster, ups and downs. And I could just feel it as we were walking. Something was very wrong. We sat down to talk, and I looked at him and said what I could not believe but knew to be true. "Look, if you're going to fire me, just do it." And he did. We'd started this together, and he fired me. I went back to the office that night to get my things, and I looked around and saw the company I'd helped build and the products I'd helped create, and in that moment, I felt like I'd lost part of myself. Leaving the startup was complicated. We both had leverage, and we began to negotiate. I'd never done this before, and I made just about every mistake in the book. Every time we'd come close to reaching an agreement, I'd just be overtaken by fear and ask for something new, something more. What should have taken weeks turned into months. I was winning the negotiation, mind you, but at the same time, I was losing what was left of our friendship. I felt terrible, but I couldn't find a way out. By Thanksgiving, I was burnt out. I was done. What had started as a simple negotiation had become a chronic illness with no cure. But sometimes it's our darkest moments that provide us with the greatest clarity. And from that low vantage point, it all made sense. I had become so afraid. In Boston, I hadn't just lost my startup. I had lost myself. I had forgotten about the future. I knew then that I had to stop trying to win. So that's what I did. I forgave my friend and I forgave myself. Fewer shares would be enough. This changed everything between us. And in that moment, we became old friends again. And he even agreed to help me sell enough shares to take a year off. You know, it was one of those win-win scenarios I've always heard about. They actually do exist. The process wasn't easy, but by the end of 2012, I was free. You know, my greatest fear in leaving the startup was not the money or my reputation. My greatest fear was becoming a guy named Pete Best. Now, Pete Best was the original drummer for the Beatles. But you may not have heard of him, not because he missed out, but because shortly after leaving the Beatles, he didn't play a single show for 20 years. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple only after making the cover of Time magazine. But because he kept growing and learning, he ended up on the cover not one, but 5 more times. I had a choice to make. Would I keep growing? Would I keep learning? In my year off, I moved to Austin, Texas to build a live and work design studio with my friends. It was awesome. And Austin is an incredible place. I chose Austin because it's this city where it's whatever you need it to be. And it would be my place to recharge. We ended up using the studio as this incredible retreat, and we invited all kinds of people down to visit us. Entrepreneurs, musicians, engineers, screenwriters, and even a national spelling bee champion came. It was awesome. Seriously, there aren't that many. But, together we talked about falling and what it takes to get back up again and again. I discovered that this is called grit. University of Pennsylvania professor Angela Duckworth defines grit as perseverance and passion for long-term goals. And she says that these goals can take years, even decades to complete. And her research shows that this requires unwavering focus. But wait a minute. If being gritty means sticking with your goals, then what about leaving the startup? How do these things match up? So when I got the chance to interview her, I asked about flexibility. Professor Duckworth told me that less gritty people have it backwards. They're a little too flexible about their long-term goals, and at the same time, too rigid about how they get there day to day. Gritty people, on the other hand, are the complete and total opposite. Dead set on their long-term vision, and at the same time, pretty flexible about how it happens. When you know where you want to end up, exactly which path you take is less important. On my path, I had fallen. And though my time in Austin was an absolute gift, I knew that I couldn't rest forever. I came to Stanford to learn about the future of hardware. I came to Stanford to learn about how to start consumer brands that enchant the world. I came to Stanford to get back up. And as you walk on your path, I can almost guarantee that you will fall and that it will hurt. But remember that it's okay to be flexible. And sometimes, it's not just okay, it's necessary. Grit is having the patience and tenacity to keep after it until you can get there, no matter which way you end up going. When you fall, and when it hurts, and when that path grows dark, in that moment of doubt and pain, remember what I have come to know deeply. Your future, our future, is brighter than the darkness. Thank you.